And now on the show, we have Lauren Colossus, who created a product to solve what turns out to be a rather common cat problem. It's called Dr. Catsby's Feline Whisker Fatigue Prevention Bowl. That's a mouthful, Lauren, right? Thank you so much.
Sure
yeah. Thank you for being here. It's so funny calling a Lauren from a Lauren, but I'm really glad to have you on the show. Tell me about this bowl. I don't have a cat. I'd like to adopt one, but I do understand that this is an issue for cats when it comes to eating, and it's something that you really thought about while creating this product.
Yeah, definitely. It's interesting because the way I discovered it, I had a cat, or I had 3 cats, and one of the cats would only eat out of the middle of the bowl, and then he would knock the other cats out of the way and eat out of the middle of their bowls too, and I thought he just was a mean bully or something.
Yeah, right.
I isolated him. I'd feed him separately, and he'd do the same thing all by himself. He'd eat out of the middle, and then with all the food left on the side, he'd just look up at me and cry as though he had no food at all. And so I started realizing that this is a thing. I did some research online, and then I have a background as a product designer. And so, of course, I did the product design thing. I measured out his face, his whiskers, and how they moved around, and then I 3D printed a prototype bowl that was just built for his face. And when I fed him out of that bowl, it was the first time that he ate everything, no problem, no crying, and he finished his meal.
Goodness. You're kidding, right?
Yeah, so I felt so happy, and then we decided to try to make more prototypes and test them with all kinds of cats, like ones that definitely had a whisker problem and ones that didn't have any noticeable issue. And what we found out is in like the side-by-side testing that even the cats without a whisker issue, by the end of the week, would prefer our bowl over their normal high-sided, high-edge bowl. And so, I mean, definitely whiskers are part of it. Another thing we discovered is that cats have a blind spot underneath their nose, so they can't see the food, and so it might be annoying for them to like try to snoop around the bowl when the food gets caught in the corners, whereas with our bowl, the design ended up keeping all the food in the middle.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's very interesting. It's a very nice product. It really is. I like the fact that it's stainless steel, and I understand cats suffer from rashes, so this helps them as well. Did you find that? Is that one of the reasons you made it stainless steel?
Definitely. I think originally when we were doing research, or we were trying to like solve a problem, our first solution was in plastic, but then when we went on Reddit and some of these other threads, people were telling us that, no, you can't do that because plastics, even all the food-safe plastics, even the BPA-free plastics, they can house bacteria that doesn't even wash out with a dishwasher. And what happens is, you know, like for humans, we eat with like a fork or a spoon, and that comes into some contact with us. But like with cats' dishes, a lot of times their like nose and parts of their face are coming into direct contact with that constantly. So stainless steel is like the best. Ceramic is pretty good, or it's about there too. But there are some that are porous. But plastic, I guess, was out of the question immediately. So we went and we looked up a food grade stainless steel that's used for like human kitchenware, and we try to get like the highest quality steel, you know, for a human standard that we could, and we have even ended up using a lot thicker steel than, I think we're about 3 times as thick as other competitor bowls for pets even. So
that's wonderful. I mean, and you're helping the cat. You're really helping the cat. How does it work? It's designed from a cat's measurements. You're saying from your cat, which is how you said you started.
That's how we started originally, and then when, you know, just like any other ergonomic study, that first one was like the perfect thing for that one cat, but then to get like a better idea, we would measure other cats, and this data, it's kind of, that was actually a fun one. Because,
right?
and as we would get more and more measurements, we started averaging out things like the distance between the whiskers, you know, like how wide their nose was, the average mobility of like how far the whiskers move back when they eat, and then the length of the whiskers. And so we were able to take all that data, and then we also combined that by looking at food, like daily recommended servings for 70 or 80 different foods for cats, and then we averaged those to like the recommended daily amount. So we ended up with a perfect volume that matched like a perfect shape for the cat's face. So we felt like in the end that's probably the most perfect shape when we talk about all the measurements of cats. I mean, of course we could keep taking more and more measurements of cats. It'd be great if we could measure every cat in the world, but we found that the data didn't move too much once we got to a certain amount of measurements. It started coming to this shape that we feel is like the perfect shape.